2, 1. Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back to the show.
And this is The Pick, and we're going to be recapping our college football Week 1 preview. And first things first is thank you for watching, of course. And we're going to be getting these games. First game is Oklahoma and Florida Atlantic. And OU really handled business. I was a little nervous that they would keep it close, but I never really thought they were going to win the game. I was just trying to be balanced. Yeah. And OU really dominated. All phases of the game, offense, defense, special teams, dominated everything. Kyler Murray looked really good. Didn't really need to play that much. Ronnie Anderson really good. He played really well. 5 carries for 100 yards. Didn't really play that much. Mm-hmm. Hollywood Brown played well. CeeDee Lamb didn't really do much, but really didn't need him to. Greg Katera didn't really do much, but didn't need him to. Offensive line dominated. Mm-hmm. Really satisfied with the offense, and I'm really satisfied with the defense. Yep. Defense played really well. Our defensive line were staying in their gaps and being gapped sound. Mm-hmm. And our defensive linebackers and our secondary were making tackles. And OU looked amazing on defense, really. Now, people are going to say it's Florida Atlantic, which I'm in a little of that camp. We definitely have a talent gap, but Florida Atlantic is really well coached. Lane Kiffin is one of the smartest offensive coaches in the country. Devin Singletary, is that his last name? He's a really great running back, and OU shut him down. Yep. Pretty much every phase of the game OU played really well. I'm really glad we got the special team block, and I'm satisfied with the win.
Yeah, to add what he was saying, the running back for FAU, he scored 32 touchdowns last season, which is ridiculous for a running back. So yeah, man. Honestly, all around defense, special teams, and offense, we really played well. I wasn't even expecting that block at all. That we blocked the punt. That was awesome. Yeah, man, he really said it all pretty much. Like, our defense played really well. They stayed in their gaps. One thing that I've been wanting OU to get better at is defensive tackles by our corners, and they really did well on that. Yeah. Offense, man, they look like a well-oiled machine, man. If we couldn't get our running game going, we could get our passing game going. If our passing wasn't working, then our running game was working. So everything was looking good. I think my biggest thing I wanted us to see what could happen was how well our quarterback could play. Because Baker Mayfield was our guy. So we're like, okay, what does this Murray kid got? And he looked good, man. He ran the ball really well. My thing was how well can he pass? He passed really well. Made some beautiful passes. Yeah, I know we can't take much away from this because of the talent gap. But still, man, that was very impressive to score 63. I was very impressed. Mm-hmm. We took our starters out by damn near the end of the second quarter. Yeah. So, yeah, man, they played really well. Excuse me. Also, that's the other thing I have to add is I'm glad we didn't take them serious, because you got to. I don't care what team you play. You got to take your opponent serious, and we did, and we handled business, man. Yeah, that's all I really got to say, man. Go OU, and got that first dub.
And people watching our show for the first time, we are Oklahoma Sooner fans.
Big time.
So we're not gonna hide that fact. We're gonna be as unbiased as we can be, but we're still fans. So we're gonna be a little bit biased, of course. Everyone's a fan of one team that they watch sports, they commentate on sports. So the thing about it is you got to be objective. Yep. Your team's playing really well, you can say your team's playing really well. If a team's not playing well, you got to call them out. And that's what we try to do at The Pick. We're
not afraid to be literally ourselves. Like, if they play bad, we're going to tell you they played bad. Like, we're not going to sit here and sugarcoat nothing. If they played awful, they play awful. But they didn't. And they literally played well. So there's just not much to say, but they did. They handled business and they played well.
Yeah, really all I got to say about that, I think that's Ryan's all you got to say about that. Yeah. And now on to the next game. Texas Longhorns played the Maryland Terrapins.
Terrapins.
And they lost.
Upset alert.
Yeah, no kidding. Let me see here. They lost because they couldn't have an effective game plan in the second half, and I thought, and the turnovers really killed them. I thought that was one of the big reasons why they lost that week, that game. I mean, and yeah, man, if turnovers, especially in really key moments, they're gonna cost you games usually.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And they let the defense, their defense let the offense really do really well against them. That Maryland running back's really good, and their quarterback's decent as well. And I was really impressed with Maryland's defense as well. They played fairly well enough to win the game. And Texas got to go back to the drawing board, man. I don't know if this season's going to be coming out with what Texas was hoping for, and kind of what I was expecting them to be. But they still can turn it around, and I'm looking forward to see if they can do that.
Right. Yeah, man, this was a huge upset. Great victory for Maryland. I think the biggest upside and what made the difference in that game was their quarterback play for Maryland. Hill, he played really well. 222 yards passing and touchdown. I mean, I know that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but this is the thing. He was very consistent. When they needed to convert third downs, they converted them. And they just shut that Texas defense down. Them corners couldn't do anything against the receivers. I will give Texas credit for shutting down their running back. Fleet Davis, he's a really good back, and he only had 7 carries for 31 yards. So they shut him down, but they had a rough day trying to get stops on their receivers. They just kept killing them in the passing game. I think the downside for Maryland was their defensive line. They could have got a little more pressure on their quarterback, Texas quarterback. He did throw 2 picks, so that's why I say their defensive line. Their defensive back played really well, getting interceptions. I would say upside for Texas, I guess their offensive line, maybe. There's really not a whole lot to say that they impressed me with, man. This was a bad game for them. Downside was their defense. They were not getting stops when they needed to get stops. I was back and forth watching games, and anytime I watched that game, there was third down, they couldn't stop them. So that's the most important down, of course. You got to stop them on third down, and they just couldn't. So, yeah, man, kind of like what Adam said, Texas got a lot of work to do now. This was a huge upset for Maryland, though. So good job in Maryland, and you never know, Maryland might be a sleeper team.
Yeah, that's really all I gotta say about it. Texas, man, they gotta get their stuff together.
This was a game that they should have won. That's why we're saying. That's why we're saying that they need a lot of work to be done, because this was supposedly the year that they're supposed to step up and contend for the Big 12. And well, that's not a good start.
No, really not. Alrighty, Auburn and Washington being the next game we talk about. Really, Auburn was really dominating Washington in the first half, especially on the offensive and defensive lines. The Auburn quarterback was looking really good. He was moving around the pocket, really impressing me. He's a good quarterback, Jason Stidham. He was decent at Baylor when he played for there, and he's been pretty good with Auburn. And keeping his eyes downfield, not panicking. I was really disappointed how Washington was playing in the first half. Jake Browning played really bad in the first half. Really, I thought if they're going to lose this game, it was going to be really on him, and he was one of the big reasons why Washington's defense was playing well. And there was one of the big reasons why Washington was in this game because of their defense.
Yeah.
And really, for the most part, both defenses play really well. But, and this is my main critique with Jake Browning, is especially with the big boys, he struggles, and he struggled with Auburn. And they had an opportunity to tie the game and win the game, and he came down and he didn't do what he needed to do. He didn't come in the clutch.
Right.
So a really great win for Auburn. I was wrong on that pick, but not every game you're gonna get right.
No, especially not the first week. It's really, really hard to make the right picks because you literally are going into a season of the unknown, man. Because you don't know how players are going to step up, if players are going to step up, who's going to step up, things like that. Yeah, we both picked Washington, and Auburn came out with the victory. I think the biggest thing for Washington, as far as what looked bad, was the quarterback play of Browning. He could have totally played a lot better. There's times he let the pressure get to him, and he made some bad throws. I will give Auburn's defense some credit. There was a lot of blitzes that they did, and it got to him. And there was, I believe, his offensive line. I think that's the biggest thing Washington needs to work on, is that offensive line, man. When you get pressure, you can't let players just blow by you almost every time they're blitzing. So. That was a big issue for Washington. I would say their upside is their running back. I think Gaskin. Yeah, Gaskin. He played pretty well.
Yeah,
for Auburn, I think their upside was their quarterback play. I didn't know how well this kid was because I didn't know a whole lot about their quarterback, and he played really well in that game. I would say their downside is their linebacking play. At times, their linebackers look very confused at times, and it ain't good. If you're gonna look confused and you let a play go, that ain't how you should play defense. But yeah, man, welcome back. We had some technical difficulties, but yeah, Washington got a lot of work to do. Browning, man, he has to figure some things out because he's supposed to be that man for that team, and he had a lot of times. He did not look like the man. He was making bad decisions, kind of panicking in the pocket. So, good win for Auburn, though.
Alrighty.